I try to name the names of the job market. But in my opinion, when the higher institution that has a good job in educating the students, then they will be ready to face many challenges. But well, in my experience, I didn't imagine that today I will become a dean. And there is no training or a school for to become a dean. Because of my education, then I can be well, I can do my responsibility. Yeah, lecture or what the dean. Kenapa? Ini kurang? Nurul. Oke, oke. Eh, Yeah, I think we will be looking forward to listening to Dr. Agustin lecture on this topic. And just to remind all of you on that this is the exam time. Yeah, everybody is busy. And next week we will have end of the semester gathering on Tuesday 1 p.m. Please come. This is very important event for the better or the development of our courses from time to time. And then still of June, we will have a graduate forum. Well, it is mandatory for all of you to present your paper anyway, and especially for PhD students because this is colloquium time, yeah, when you need to present your literature review and being commented by our lectures. And the last reminder is for MA batch 2 that this is the last week of your and you need to for your thesis defense by 1st of July. So this is a very short time. So I think that's all from me. I hope you enjoy Dr. Gus lecture. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Dina, for the insightful remarks. And I think there are two important informations that you can do. The first one is the graduate forum that you will mandatorily attend next week in the end of the June actually, yeah, and July actually, yeah. And also, we have Dr. Lizzie here. If you need some mentorship or consultations for your writing, you can make an appointment in the library. Okay, now let's go to the main agenda, everyone. That uh, we will um, we will welcome Dr. Gingin Gustin to take the seat in front to present. Okay, yeah. Mungkin sebelah sana, sebelah sana. Ya, ya. Nanti mau ditukar. All right. Before we listen to the presentations from Dr. Gingin Gustin, I would like to read the brief CV about her education background and accomplishments in publication and something and many things about her. Okay. Dr. Gingin Gustin is actually the permanent lecturer in OP Bandung, or Indonesia University of Educations, and he currently resides in Bandung, West Java. She graduated for the bachelor degree in IKE Bandung in 1999, and she graduated from the same university for the master's degree in 2000, majoring the same, that is English language education. And for the doctoral degree, she graduated from the Deakin University in 2014, majoring language and literacy educations in Victoria, Australia. Okay, and I think literacy becomes your main research interest, I believe, yes. When I read your list of publications, because there are many things related to critical literacy in English language teaching. Yeah. Okay, that's okay. In terms of the employment, Dr. Gingin involves, besides a lecturer, permanent lecturer in UP Bandung, she also involves in activities like translations. Okay, that's interesting. And also BIPA teachers, Indonesian for foreign speakers. I think that's during her time in PhD education. Yeah, in 2010 until 2013. She teaches Bahasa Indonesia. She taught Bahasa Indonesia in Australia, a number of education institutions in Australia. That's quite of interesting. While in terms of research publications, I think Dr. Gingin has made some significant publications in Q1, Q2, and Q3 research journals. Okay, especially the current one is English literacy learning loss during COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia. That's the current one. And Q1 and CLE studies in English language and educations. That's the name of the journal. Also, you did something like critical speaking skills. Okay. Right. So now let's proceed to the main agenda about talk. That is for future its implications for education policy in Indonesia and Indonesia in terms of the Gen Z populations. In Indonesia right now, there are 70%, statistically speaking, 70% of Indonesians populations are in the productive age groups. Yeah, and from the 70%, it covers mostly on the age group of Gen Zs. Yeah, which that's the biggest generation after millennials. That's right. Okay, after millennials, in which Gen Zs cover 74 million people, around 27% among the 70% populations which are who are productive. And after millennials, the second that's the second position, 69 million people, which cover 25% of the uh, productive age groups. But we have stigma right now. Okay, we have stereotypes about Gen Zs, right? Um, the current news, almost 10 million Gen Zs are unemployed and not currently in education. And also some stereotypes like they're difficult to work with. Okay. And social, what is it? Uh, socially, what is it? Needs some verification socially. Yeah, what was that called actually? Okay. And also needs healing often. Right. Okay. So I think it's interesting because you touch more on the Gen Z's expectations and the current states of conditions, and then you touch with the implications of education policy. Well, we would like to hear more about it, okay? And the time is yours now to explain. You have 45 minutes for presentations, and we follow that with Q&A for around 20 minutes.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for attending my presentation today, to those of you who come here in this room with us, and also to those of you who attend this session online at the Zoom meeting. Thank you. First of all, this is actually part of my research project that is funded by the Faculty of at this university. One of the program, yeah, as Prof. Nina said earlier, that I was admitted here as a scholar in residence since 3 months ago. Time flies. Actually, today we have farewell party. That's very sad. Okay, so this is part of my research project, and hopefully you will get the full article, yeah, which will be published soon at Muslim Education Review, yeah, maybe end of this year. Okay. All right, so this is the title of my presentation. I'm sure you can read this quite clearly. All right, let's have a look at what we are going to do today. First thing first, I'm going to introduce you to my research that I've been doing here. And then we're going to have a look at who actually Gen Z is. You can actually pronounce it Gen Z if you prefer British accent, or Gen Z if you prefer American. That depends on you. I prefer to mention Gen Z. Okay. And what are the characteristics? And then their attitude at workplace, their expectation for future employment. And because I'm an educator, I'm a faculty member, I really want to see how this connects to education policy in Indonesia. Okay, so let's have a look at this age group, different generation. And from the look of you, I see that you maybe belong to, oh, Provinda again said as well. Okay, yeah, maybe from the look of students attending, hopefully you belong to Gen Z or not Gen Alpha, yeah. That's toddler. Okay. So if you look at these age differences, there are many debates surrounding the age. In the literature, you can see subtle differences. Yeah. For example, maybe there are about 2 or 3 years differences among. Let's have a look at baby boomer first. They were born in 1946 to 1964. Are you belong to this generation? At the back? No? No, you look much younger, don't much. And then Generation X, okay? Could be some of us, your lecturer here. Okay, and then after that we have millennials, which is also shaking the word a little bit. Yeah, if you know the debate surrounding millennials, maybe you heard about it. Yeah, that they prefer avocado toast, which costs very expensive. They don't want to buy house. That's the stereotype again about millennial. That yeah, baby boomers say, oh, what's happening with millennials? They don't want to buy houses, but they are crazy about avocado in coffee, which costs very expensive. That's another stereotypes. And then number 4, we have Generation X. That's my current interest now. This generation born between 1996 to 2012. And so it means they are about 14 to 28 years old this year. And after that, we have Generation Alpha. Okay. Oh, not to that part yet. Okay, you probably wonder why. I'm going to give you a little bit context of why I'm interested in doing this research about this generation. I think it started quite a long time ago when I met up with my friends from different occupation. So my friends, not only from education field, but some of my friends, when we catch up, she worked as a senior project manager in international company in Jakarta, and we met with another friends. And in our company at that time, we started to talk about the younger people we are dealing with every day in our work. Okay, so my friend talked about the interns in her company. Interns, yeah, young student, spend a couple of months doing interns. And another friend of mine talked about younger staff. And I was also talking about students at that time. Yeah. And then we have similar threats. We have similar, the younger generation we were talking about, actually they shared similar characteristics. Okay. So my friend who was working as a senior office manager, she complained that, oh, what's happening with these young people? It's difficult to work with. Yeah, that's what you said. It's difficult to work with. She changes a lot. She moves a lot. They don't want to stay doing one task, but they want to move a lot. And then another friend of mine said, I have a staff who wanted to do completely remote work from Bali because he wanted to do surfing and everything while don't want to come physically to the office. And we pick up the same characteristic actually. Yeah, I was also talking about my own student at that time. Okay, I told them that my student these days they show a very different characteristic to the students I had maybe 20 years ago. Very different in the way they handle their problems, in the way they interact with us, in the way they interact with their friends, and of course in the use of mobile phones. So that is something I really wanted to look more. I want to know what's going on. And I'm a mother of two Gen Zers at home as well. So I really want to know whether they follow the common characteristic or not. So that's a little bit of background. Okay, when I turn my attention into media, I'm very sorry, Gen Zers, but the way media represent you has been very negative. Okay, the way they represent you in media, especially in social media, it's always the narrative about you tends to be very negative. Okay, so have a look at this. It's true that you earn a famous reputation as digital native. That's true. And also it's been validated by science. Look at this. That's what you just said. And that's what my friend said earlier, that you are the worst generation to work with. And you are an employer's nightmare. Oh my God, that's very sad, isn't it? Well, I don't know. I hope it's not true. Okay. See, this is also something that my friend is experiencing. They don't want to come into the office. They don't want to work. Earlier, you said how many percent unemployed? I also read
Almost
in
10 million.
I also read in a study the unemployment. It's not because no jobs available, but because they don't feel a need to work. But it has to be proven by research. Okay, that's what I've been reading. Okay, and you are stressed, depressed, and exam obsessed. Another sad stereotype. And you have a high level of anxiety. That's also something I experienced with my student. And I have been talking with Ibu Cherry about this, that I saw an increase in my student. In the beginning, I was very confused when I asked my student to, in a classroom, you will be given chance to present your work, right? And then one student came up to me and said, oh, I can do this. I'm too anxious. I was sweating a lot. And I said, oh, really? But those are your friends. They are not strangers. But then my assumption is incorrect because that's how they feel, high level of anxiety. And you are the loneliest generation. Is that true? You have your mobile all the time, 24 hours, but yet studies say you are the loneliest generation. Okay, I don't know. And this is very interesting because my background is in language education. I work at the Faculty of Language Education. So this is actually hits me very hard. Okay. Not all employers are tolerating Gen Z's laid back language. Laid back language means a very casual language. Okay. So maybe you are not aware on how you're supposed to be talking with people. Are you aware of that? That there are differences between communicating to your device and communicating with real people. Do you know the differences? I'm sure you know. Okay. All right. I'll talk about it later. And what's happening in Indonesia? Okay. The Ministry of State-Owned Enterprise or BUMN. Okay. Erick Thohir, he admitted that 70% of generations that had mental health issues. So he had a policy of 4 days working in a week. Yeah. So if you are interested to apply to a state-owned enterprise, maybe this is good news for you. You don't have to work Monday to Friday, but you can choose only 4 days. But we don't know when it will be implemented. Okay, so that's the stereotypes that I've been reading. Okay, and I want to see the matter very clearly. So I decided to do this research. All right, I want to know what the research says. The previous slides is the stereotype from the media. I want to know what the research says about you. Okay, there are many characteristics of Gen Z according to research, but in this presentation, I'm going to only to highlight those that are relevant to future employment, something like that. Okay, so first of all, this generation value work-life balance. So work and life must be balanced. Okay. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, you earn famous reputation as digital natives. You communicate digitally, but to another end, you also need social skills improvement. And then you possess high entrepreneurship spirit. If you see there are many startup businesses done by Gen Zers, yeah. So that's maybe because you possess that entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurship. Okay, and then you are more racially and ethnically diverse. And then because of this, you are also more inclusive. Okay, you want to include everyone. You are concerned about social justice. And then look at that about teachers. Wow. So you appreciate teachers, but for you, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok are their preferred channel. So maybe my job will be gone in, I don't know. Okay. All right. And then you have higher stress level than previous generation, mentioned by many research. And then you have high awareness of corporate social responsibility related products or services. There's even research in Portugal who mentioned that this generation, they are willing to spend more money if the product have label, eco-friendly, something like that. Yeah. And you are willing to pay more. And this is very interesting because look, I don't know much about celebrities. Yeah. My daughter just sent me a picture this morning. Mom, Maudy Ayunda, she just released lip butter. The lip butter, the ingredient is from Kalimantan Island. It's eco-friendly, blah, 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 and I need to buy this. And when I look at the price, oh my God, are you willing to pay that much for a lip butter that has label eco-friendly? Yeah, if you follow Maudy Ayunda, so I decided to follow her because of my daughter. So, okay, I know the lip butter that she meant, okay? And then, all right, so this is what the research says about Gen Z. Now, this is my current study, okay, from the background and everything. I want to know what are Gen Z's attitudes, expectation, work ethics in the workforce, and implication can we infer for the education policy in Indonesia. All right, have a look at participants. There are many participants filling out the online survey from Indonesia, Thailand, Afghanistan. The data collection were from online survey and focus group discussion. And I analyzed data with inductive approach, analyzing patterns and themes. Okay, so this is the current study I really want to know. And what are the findings? Okay. So this is the findings from my current research. Okay, so the first thing is their attitude at workplace. All right, the first theme that emerged from my research is that this generation, they are not afraid to express, to communicate their ideas. And they are not very afraid whether they have to face an authority, a figure in their office, like a senior, okay, a senior rank member from the office or something like that. But they say it's okay. Yeah, in the interview they say it's okay. It doesn't matter for me to question my supervisor. That's the first pattern emerge. And also the use of technology is a must. Okay, they really desire to work in smart office technology where they integrate hybrid meeting, IT staff availability 24 hours, even coffee machine, something like that. Okay. And they're willing to negotiate tasks and working hours. And they are financially literate. Okay. So in one study I found in Vietnam, this financially literate characteristic may be because this generation was born during the worst financial crisis. So the education about how they have to spend their money, wisely, it's there and it's better compared to previous generation. That's what another literature say. All right, you can have a look here, their attitude at workplace. Okay, you can read it for a while. Is one of these characteristics similar to you? Are you willing to leave your job if the tasks are too demanding? Are you willing to leave your job if your co-workers and supervisor are not friendly? Okay. Or are you capable to leave if the working hours are too difficult? Actually, these are some of the question emerge, yeah, some of the theme. So for example, the first statement about questioning an authority, yeah, a senior figure in your workplace. Look at them, yeah. It says most of them say it's okay. And in the also in the interview, most of the respondents attended the focus group discussion mentioned it is totally acceptable. Okay, this kind of characteristic may not always applicable uh, in all settings. For example, in Indonesian setting, for example, if you work and someone who is older than you, a senior member in your company, things may be a little bit difficult. Okay, that's where the classes begin. Yeah, the misunderstanding between older generation and Generation Z begins maybe because of that. And fortunately, Gen Z in my study, they are financially literate because if they don't have any other job, they will be staying in their current job. Even if the working hours are too difficult, supervisors are not friendly, the tasks are too demanding, they are willing to stay. And it is true that they are also generation with high level of environmental awareness. So they don't want to work for a company that pollutes air or river, something like that. And finally, about financial, They say, if I want to buy something, I can buy it immediately by different payment methods, even if I can't afford it. This idea was rejected by most of my respondents. They say, no, it's not wise to use credit card all the time. It's not wise to auto deduct your salary, even if online loan. Yeah. So they don't like this idea, which is good. Okay. All right. The second expectation, I divided into work and context dimension. Work means related to your task, related to your assignment, while context means related to physical attributes. Okay. So in the work dimension, again, this generation high value, they emphasize corporate social responsibility companies. So they really want to work in the company that has a clear goal of corporate social responsibility and various tasks. Okay, flexible working hours. They want to have clear job description, and they want transparency in recruitment process and in career development. Now, I would like to highlight the last item in the work dimension because this is very interesting, and what I found from the interview are very, very significant. Okay, so when I asked them about career development, all of them say fair. Everyone should be able to be promoted to a higher level or a higher position. And I said, they are being promoted based on what? And all of them said it must be based on someone's capability. That's the keyword. It must be based on someone's performance at work. So I asked them further. Again, because I'm older generation, I asked them, what about if you find someone who's been there in your office for ages and they are still in the lower rank? They say, well, it should be based on performance. If there's someone staying long time without being promoted, that may be because that someone is not capable. Again, a misunderstanding may happen in that situation. Okay, because if you are working in Indonesian context and maybe in some Asian context that I've been reading, this can be a little bit tricky. Okay, this can be a little bit tricky. I'll explain later. Okay, so that's in the context, work. And in the context dimension, again, you wanted to work in office where they integrate high technology and comfortable ambience. Comfortable means they have to be hybrid meeting, very speedy internet connection, a good looking design of chairs, something like that. And they also want to have friendly and warm supervisor, and they want to have supportive coworkers. Let's have a look. Workplace, yeah. Oh no, not this one, sorry. Work dimension. Okay. All right. So you can see this quite clearly. Okay. These are all the expectation from this generation. Right. Now, a context dimension, I did that. All right. Okay. All right. So number one, supervisor and coworker must be fun. Must be fun and friendly all the time. Okay. Co-working space. All right. And they want to have co-workers who hang out after office hours. Not very significant, but the number is there. So there are some people who want to have co-workers to hang out with. Okay, sorry. All right. So my next question is, what do I do with this finding? Okay, what do I have to do? What are the implications? As I mentioned earlier, because we are working in education field, we need to see the connection. Okay, as you may know that the current direction of Indonesian higher education, you probably have heard about Merdeka Belajar or Kampus Merdeka. Yeah, it is known as MBKM. It is actually emancipated learning. Yeah, in English, it is emancipated learning. It is an initiative launched by our Ministry of Education quite recently, maybe 3 years ago, okay, to respond to the effect of the pandemic, to the learning loss and everything. Yeah, and it is expected to be implemented from primary to tertiary education level. But tertiary education level is usually at the undergrad courses, okay? And they claim that this program has many benefits for students. One of them is because it offers flexibility for students to study outside their home university, yeah, for maximum 3 semesters. Then there are also another benefit of university itself. Okay. So MBKM is literally translated into freedom to learn or independent campus. Merdeka means independent. Okay, so what does this have to do with those characteristics? If you read carefully the document about MBKM program, it says that, oh, this is, okay. It says that because this program offers more flexibility for students to move around, to be very mobile, not only staying at your home-based university, but you can move around. So it means that learning that incorporates students learning centered, learning that highly values about student characteristics, okay? Student needs are highly important. Why? Because we are going to let them go as early as semester 4. So in undergraduate level, if you are studying 4, you then go and you come back again later. Okay, that gives us a lot of headache. Yeah, lucky you don't have it here because postgrad MBKM, yeah, it's only in undergrad. Okay, so the document says that because we need to prepare them, okay, we need to prepare them to go out, to meet people, to do internship earlier than, remember, this is just currently launched, yeah, it's maybe 3 years ago. So compared to student 4 years ago, this is different. To do internship program in Indonesian undergraduate program, you have to stay at semester 7. But now with this program, you can leave, you can start early as semester 4. So they say in order to prepare them to go out, meeting people, we have to incorporate our curriculum based on what they are going to face. That's mandated by our Minister of Education. Okay, so if we look, here are some of the MBKM programs in higher education. Okay, teaching internship, certified internship, independent study. Independent study means, if you don't know, independent study means, maybe this is good news for you, but it's too late because you are in grade. You don't have to write scriptsy anymore. Yeah, yeah, it's too late to graduate. I know writing your undergraduate thesis is a nightmare to majority of you, but in this program, you don't have to do that again. Instead, you can do independent study. What is called independent study? Yeah, independent study means you are working closely with either with your lecturer or with someone from a business company. It means you are working with people outside your home university. Okay, so the chances for you to meet various people in real background, work background is there. And student exchange, this is, believe me, this is very popular. Yeah, very, very popular. Student exchange, this semester I received numerous students from all around Indonesia, UP. And then entrepreneurship, you can work with someone in the business company. And also another popular program is called IISMA. Okay, so Indonesian International Student Mobility Awards, student can study overseas for 1 semester, and then they come back and yeah, and try to conversing what you learn in New Zealand, what you learn in UK, and what are the similarities that we have in UP. That's a lot of headache going on, but that's okay. This is, I'm just showing you that this program currently launched is very popular. And all of this program, all of these, they really emphasizes student-centered learning. Okay, so this comes to implications. Okay, this week is also an examination week at UPI, and I have been grading students' paperwork. Okay, and not to my surprise, but again, when I read it, I always feel surprised. Yeah, I know that you earn famous reputation as digital native, but remember, there is a huge gap between accessing information and actually learning the information. Okay? Maybe you don't have any problem to access any information, everything, you seem to know more, maybe. But when you actually learn that critically, actually use that information for educational purposes, things a little bit different. Okay? And I read it from students' paperwork. Okay? One of the question I asked, it's in my literacy class for undergraduate student. You know, I asked about, for example, the author's argument. I asked them to, write down the author's argument that you can find from the text. It's actually difficult job for them because they don't know what are the arguments that I should quote. So there is a huge gap. Accessing information of Gen Z, you don't have any problem, yeah, accessing the latest technology, okay? But you maybe need more guidance in how actually use that information critically for educational purposes. And then more integration of soft skills. This is very important. If you remember previous slides from media, yeah, also from my finding how you are not afraid to express something against authority in your workplace, okay? You are not afraid to communicate freely because this generation is also more open-minded, yeah, compared to previous generation. And then the integration of soft skills are needed. What are soft skills? Soft skills could be like communication skills, okay, negotiation skill, critical thinking, listening skill, which is also important. Yeah, so that's the integration of soft skills. I think are very important for this generation. You know, to make it balance between what the attitude that you have. Yeah, and then redesign curriculum tailored to students' need. This has been a current debate, yeah, and it's been on and on and on and on, and from each year, I think the Indonesian government has been doing a lot to improve, yeah, and for example, in public university, once in 5 years, we have to redesign curriculum, and we are doing that now, yeah. All right, and more guidance and understanding. Please be patient with us, okay, Gen Zers. We are still trying to understand you. Why? Because your problem, they don't exist when I grew up. Okay? Your problem of being anxious about someone commenting on your post, it doesn't exist in my generation. The best part of my generation is I grew up without smartphone. I think that's black. It's true, yeah? Bullying happened in my generation, but it stopped when the school ends. When the bell rings, bullying stops. But with your generation, you use that 24 hours, right? You are reading comments, maybe you are involved in that, yeah. So the tension is there. So please be patient. Your problem, not your problem, not all of them. We experience that. No, not all of them. So we are still trying to understand you. Okay? So more guidance, more understanding is needed. If students feel anxious, I think we need to ask them what's going on. Okay, don't quickly be judgmental because some of my colleagues could be quick to judge, yeah, because and they say, oh, I don't understand why you are nervous about so many things. Yeah, it could happen, you know. All right. So is it 45 minutes?
I still have 10
Okay.
minutes. Okay.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I make it before.
Thank you, Dr. Gingin. Very interesting research. Yeah. I think the stereotypes that I have mentioned have been confirmed, right? But not all true. Yeah. I think there are some findings that tackle the stereotypes that I mentioned just now. So even though they are digital native, right? So they're born the political upheaval in 1998. Yeah. So they tend to be fair, I believe. Yeah, in your research, they uphold fairness in the workplace. But unfortunately, they are still quote unquote vulnerable. Yeah, vulnerable, and sometimes they're offended by the supervisors. They're heartbroken. Yeah, then they tend to be sensitive, right? And what the government has been doing actually in the right path, right? Okay, which is in the new curriculum in higher education, Mereka Belajar MBKM. MBKM curriculum offers a flexibility of the university to design the curriculum based on the students' needs, actually. But the challenge is how the university can transform, can interpret based on the students' needs. As you mentioned that there's some universities successfully implemented the MBKM program, but some others are still struggling in equalizing the credits. Yeah, including my university. Yeah, because yeah, some courses are forced to be equalized because of the policy. Okay, and also I remember the last conference, latest conference about well-being literacy. Yeah, I think that confirms how to communicate well-being to the students. That's also important. Okay, I would like to invite questions from the participants. Okay, wow, we have a number of questions. Can we invite three questions first? Okay, and then we go to the next sessions with another three questions. Okay, the one that raises hand first is Dr. Charina.
From a Buddha side, I am so good. I close the name kind of time. Okay. To be fair, I learned a lot from the generation that, for example, based on your visa for the person, and take a look at take a look back at the slide from the
Nah, bagaimana? Abang jauh kan? Tadi pertanyaan kan? Kayak bang Apong gitu.
the point, number one, should if I can go through,
Sertifikat. Alhamdulillah.
they dare to
Abang
say
tahu dia.
no. They
Sertifikat abang lagi. Untuk bikin dia.
I learned a lot from them.
Kadang lagi yang mana?
To say no somehow is not
Eh,
enough.
nanti.
They don't want.
Nah,
Therefore, that is my, like, another side of my point of view. The second thing is talking about himself. Yes, I do agree with you when you say that she's bearing with us, students. We are trying to understand you. But at the same time, I think we as a educator, our learn that moment. And how to find it to learn that moment.
Okay, now the second questions. Okay, probably from the lecturer first.
So that's straight away, yeah? I have been texting you about this, yeah?
Topics similar to that, instrument one, the question about activities of work, maybe similar, context and what's it seems like, I'm just wondering, maybe the second video would be ended, I think we can say accurate. Why?
Why?
I know a lot of strong activities, we have a lot of work, I can't how feeling, obviously I'm going to say, the level of doing it. Do you think you would have this different or
Okay, now you can answer first the three group of questions.
Yes, okay.
Boleh,
I
Kak.
think Dr. Charina didn't ask question, but more like exchanging ideas, yeah. And I think we really need to realistically implement this in our classes because I believe the soft skills are very important, yeah. And soft skills, they are not you wouldn't take any 3 or 4 soft skill and then assignment or examination for you. No, you wouldn't. But the soft skill, they are all embedded in the courses that you are taking. When you are doing project with someone, you are sharpening your communication skill. Okay? When you are presenting work, you are also sharpening listening skill. Yeah? So I like this statement that says don't listen to reply, but listen to understand. If you heard that, yeah. So listen to understand. Don't snap with the answer, yeah. So if you snap with the answer, it means listen to reply, but listen to understand that involves critical thinking. So Dr. Charina, I agree that this is our huge task to help students to develop this, and I agree more in my but I think it's not only in Indonesian context, yeah. It's a little bit difficult to say no to your supervisor. Are you feel that?
My supervisor is Dr.
Oh,
Bambang.
are you are you willing to say no to him?
Um, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. Yeah, especially in our culture, Lizzie, maybe you have heard a lot about Indonesian culture. It's kind of difficult. But this generation shows that they are willing. And I asked them again, I asked them again, I confirmed to respondent 1, respondent 2, are you sure it's okay if you talk, to your senior? One of the respondents say, experience does matter. That's what they say. But your capability matters more. So it's okay for me to question you. Okay. Wow. I wouldn't have that. Uh, I wouldn't have that kind of stance. Yeah, with my supervisor. Okay, Dr. Chaida. So that's to respond
So it's
to
kind
our
of
huge
the culture of obedience.
obedience. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Among
Yeah.
Indonesians.
Yeah.
Okay. The second suggestions or questions probably.
I
Why
think
don't
it's-
you rush? Why don't you
Yeah,
rush
look,
model?
Dr. Bambang, I have been texting you a lot about it, but you are busy all the time. Yes, that's true. I can show you my text messages. I want to learn about this model from the expert here. Before I end this program, I'll come back, yeah, for your presentation in July, I think. Yes, and please help me with that because this is very important. Very important to see the lot of variables. And Dr. Tati, I agree with you. There has been studies involving the differences across generation, So this study, I think, was conducted in the UK, and they compare not boomer, but from generation Y, millennials, and Gen Z. And the results are fascinating. The work ethics between the generation are different. That's something maybe I want to do later on with another research grant from Dr. Nina to be conducted here. I'm going to do more research across generation. So thank
Okay.
you, Dr. Tati.
Yeah, across generations.
Yeah.
I belong to the previous generations too.
Are you sure? Not baby boomers?
No, no. Okay. Now I would like to invite questions for the second sessions. I invite 3 questions from the students. Yes, please, Mr. Furqan. Yeah.
For discussions, I just want to follow up with about the response because I need more questions on the suggestions about the characteristics of the respondents. Because again, student structures, consultations of content, about the capacity and PCC for my whole hours about someone say no. Something is that, example is no. If it's a factor, something the individual factors, focus on it in if it's making to solve the science in the field. That's the one about the characteristics of the subjects. Second of all, questions about the students like you use the research. When that might be work dimensions.
Work dimensions.
Bar chart.
Just curious questions. Can you take my I think it's really easy for the students they study every week. Study more so much of those questions using this kind of questions. Thank you.
Okay, you want to answer it first because it has 2 questions.
I think I can answer it straight away before I forgot. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for critical questions. I want to answer your question by asking you to look at this. Not this one. Attitudes, okay? So here, what you said is correct. More studies is needed to compare not only across generation, but where actually they live, okay? What kind of surrounding they are in. And this is very, I'm feeling very positive about what I found in this study because when I read a similar study done in USA, for example, for question item number, I can see clearly. Okay, question item number 2, number 3, number 2, 3, 4. It is not found in other studies that I read. Okay, so you remember there's a famous TikToker who mentioned that I don't want to work at 8 a.m. because I was at the gym and my supervisor asked me to attend a meeting. It's very viral. Yeah. The normal working hours for that person, which is very viral, is 9 a.m. And the boss asked him to come at 8. And she said, no, because I had to go to the gym. Will you compensate for my gym expenses? Something like that. So that's true. Okay, so the finding in my research really contradicts with some of the literature that I've been reading. Because in other countries, for example, if the supervisor are not friendly, they would just leave. Okay, but Gen Z in my study, they decided to say they decided to say under 3 critical conditions: the working hours are too difficult, the supervisor are not warm, and the tasks are too demanding. So that I think can answer your question. We need more studies. Okay, and if you ask me participants of this, yeah, the participant of my study mostly come from big cities in Indonesia, also in Thailand and in Afghanistan. So there may be major differences if I do this in remote areas in Madura, maybe remote areas of Madura, maybe it's different. Or where you are from, yeah, maybe the result will be different. So we need more research about this. Okay, so thank you for that.
Okay.
And does it answer you have 2 questions? Does it answer all of them? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The next participants who wants to ask, please raise your hand. Oh yeah. Mention your name, where you're from.
I'm going to know that from the we have very interesting actually. Because personally, as you can see, so I had read a word that talking about how we should live in this in Sungkawa or Tanuti, facility, competency, and community. So, if I can we should suggest we should move to another company every 2 years maximum. Not like our considered like YouTubers. So, because of if we move to another company, they will see us as what is your before salary. So if we are given our salary when we move to another company, because you say for 10 years in the company, so we really get hard to increase our salary. That is the problem. And then the second thing is, should we be journalists or specialists? Because in specialists, we have to have a lot of skills. But our reference said that no, you should be a specialist because if you don't have a specialist, you will not get excited.
Okay, it's a matter of loyalty to
Yeah.
a certain company or institutions. So it's interesting trick, yeah. Moving from one company to another
And
to
you said
get
2
more,
years to move within only 2 years?
yeah,
Yeah,
to be well paid. So
yeah,
what's
it's
your
really interesting. That's very interesting. That's probably the stereotype that we have been reading all this time, that you like to move a lot. Yeah, you haven't finished this assignment and then you want to move somewhere else. You want to do completely remote work from Bali, for example. So maybe that's, yeah. So this is kind of this conversation. We need to maintain that. We need to have more of this conversation going on to, to have more understanding about each of the generation. Okay, that's a good point. Thank you so much.
Okay, and the second one is the specialty in something.
Specialist or
Whether you are
generalist.
specialized in a certain field. Parents encourage their children to be specialized in certain thing.
Yeah,
But while the children want to expand their
yeah.
set of skills. Yeah. So what do you think?
That's quite tricky because I don't think I'm not the right person to give you advice whether you should be a generalist or, but that really depends so much. Are you working at the moment, or are you working and studying at the moment? Oh, okay. Oh, good. See, that's another typical of, okay. Are you working from Bali? Okay. All right. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer your question. That really depends on what you want to achieve in your career, I think. Yeah, and only you know what is best for you. Okay. And it's good that you listen to your parents as well.
Well, it is good to hear that some many Gen Zs have a specialty in certain fields. But when I read the current news, is the cause of the almost 10 million unemployed Gen Zs are because they are low skill laborers. They're not high skill laborers. While in the disruptive eras like today, companies want high skilled laborers, which are not met with the needs of the current Gen Zs. So Yeah. So I think it's that there should be actions, there should be measures from educational institutions to match between what the labor needs and what the curriculum teaches.
Yes, exactly. And I forgot to mention about unrealistic expectation, yeah, from the Gen Z in my study. But you can read it full report in my article later on. So the unrealistic expectation from Gen Z is also found in many contexts, yeah, in Portugal, in US. Okay, so they set up what is called a bit realistic viewed from older generation. Okay, if you see the finding here. Context. Yeah. Okay. This looks very like a dreamy job, right? This looks very like, does every office has smart office technology incorporated in your company? I don't think so. Unless you work in a very, big company, international company in Jakarta, for example, then maybe you can have that. But if you work at average company, I think you have to deal with whatever facilities they have.
Yeah.
So this kind of setup unrealistic expectation, viewed from older generation. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, this kind of conversation we need to uphold it to get a better understanding of each of generation. And the laid back language, I haven't mentioned it. Laid back means very casual. Yeah. This one. Oh, not this one. Laid back language. Okay, so Generation Z now is at secondary school, like they are 14, maybe they are at SMP, yeah. And the older generation of Gen Z is fully embedded in workforce in 2024. So they are younger generation and older generation of Gen Z. And what I'm really worried about is what's happening to the younger generation of Gen Z. They are now at junior high school, yes, middle school, and maybe, just maybe, what they hear about language can be a little bit different to their older generation. For example, for those of you who don't speak Indonesian or who don't know any knowledge about Indonesian language, Indonesian language, and especially our vernacular languages, local languages that we have, different from your Gura and from me, Sundanese, it's quite different. We have those level, right? You have to know when you have to speak to younger people, when you have to speak to your colleague, when you have to speak to older. Those are the norms. Those are linguistic norms adopted by Indonesian people. Especially if you still speak your local languages. Do you still speak like local language? What local languages do you speak? Sorry, may I know? Yeah, yeah. Yes. Sundanese? Sudanese. Okay.
Sudanese.
I'm also Sudanese. We have those beautiful but very complicated way of saying things. Lizzie, in my local language, if you mention a verb of going, those verb have different names. Okay, going somewhere to elderly.
That's right.
Okay, going somewhere to, and so this laid back language, what I'm worried about is they don't have this global knowledge of how language is adopted by the norms. So this becomes my responsibility as a faculty member working at Faculty of Education. I always remind them that language is about meaning. Language is how other people understand you. Language is not sort of, words string up together. No, it's how they perceive you. It's about nuances. So I'm worried about it because younger generation of Gen Z, maybe, just maybe, they don't know the formal and informal way of addressing themselves. We have aku, right, in Indonesian language. We have saya. What is your preference? Aku or saya? Come on, be honest. Saya, Prof. Nina says saya. What about the younger generation? What's your preference? Oh my God, I can imagine them saying that to me. Oh my God. Even to have younger student asking, oh, aku belum ngerjain itu, ma'am, sorry. That makes me like, why are you using that? Like, yeah, aku, or, those younger generation, maybe they are not exposed to the differences of beautiful languages that we have in Indonesia, and also especially in local languages, we are very diverse and complex. And, up to now, I'm the native speaker of Sundanese, but I'm not. Sometimes I say, oops, I did say something bad to someone. So yeah, the layback language, I totally agree with this. But and in look, this is in the business context. Yeah, not all employers are tolerating your layback languages. So please be careful. Okay, especially if you're studying language. Remember, it's not a string of words. No, people will interpret you beyond of what you know. That's the beauty of language. So please pay attention, okay? All right.
If I comment on that, I think it also depends on the parents,
Yep.
how the parents educate their children. Because I feel that myself, because I'm lucky because my father truly taught me Madurese language in very polite way from the beginning, because my father wants to preserve the culture, preserve the local language. And I can speak both in the level of 1, 2, or 3 in Madurese language. Um, I'm also concerned my kid, because next month my kid will enter school in Depok, in elementary schools. Yeah, I don't know the influence of the surroundings, like the informal languages. Yeah, so parents must have a full support to nurture the
And also
children.
teachers. In fact, in my faculty at UPI, we decided to make a policy specifically to our students. It says how to communicate to your lecturers. It is explicitly stated about what time you have to reach for your lecturer and what languages should be used. Yeah. So it happens. It happens. All right.
Yeah, it happens to me as well. My students text me, "Sir, where are you?" Then, who are you? Then, where are you from? Where in which department are you from? Then, just where are you? Then, yeah, I'm very shocked with that. Yeah, okay. So I would like to invite one more questions, everyone. Oh, probably one or two. Yeah. Okay. From okay. Then the next questions will be from the back.
Also at the University and in here have activity and occupation with well, thank you for the and I already you guys say about the research. And my question is say that the what young lecturer easier to understand than the student than all the senior lecturer. Why? Because like the closer age gap. That's really interesting. And Gen Z, millennial. What? Thank you.
Oh,
Okay. Do young lecturers easily communicate better
yes,
compared to
maybe
the
to some
older?
extent, but this is very interesting because once a year we have like informal event with my students at UPI, and it is informal, yeah. So not to be offended, but still, uh, our Kaprodi, head of department, always nominate favorite lecturer, yeah, in a fun way, yeah, not to be taken seriously. And all the favorite lecturers, they are all younger lecturers. Yeah, so yeah, that's a little bit funny. Maybe, maybe yeah, because the age, closer age differences, maybe similarities in the problems that you are facing. Yeah, that's true. maybe to some extent it could be true. Okay. What about you with your students? Are you? Oh, okay.
So it's a simple the message, but when the message sent to the senior lecturer, like what, like that, but for the young lecturer, it's okay. I'm in campus
Yeah,
like
okay.
that.
So that's
Yeah,
why communication and soft skills again is very important. Yeah.
Junior lecturer keep to no keep to learn the long time learn. So keep to spirit of every
Yes.
the expectation for the
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, thank you. The next question is from the last one, I believe, because we have the time limit. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to continue her question. Maybe for us, who are the sandwich generations, Gen Y or anything, we are the most suffer because we need to the younger mingle with the Gen Z, and also we need to be polite and accommodate what the older people wants or needs. So what do you think? Maybe you need to conduct another survey regarding Gen Y, because also in the office rooms, we're suffering because of the Gen Z generation. Yeah.
You are suffering. Okay.
Just like Gen Z, we need to persuade, to instill values of the optimist. But when we become too soft, they can
They are being mental health problems. Yeah. That's
give them suggestion or
Yeah, you can directly answer.
suggestion. Okay, suggestion from working with Gen Z. Okay, that's this I've been dealing this with my students. Yeah, lucky I don't have that in not in my workplace, but they are as students, so I still have like power. Because they are a student. But anyway, it's a bit difficult. It's true. But again, I think the more you understand them, okay, the better things will be. And I think the understanding should be mutual. So they have to understand you and you also have to understand them. So mutual understanding is very important. And again, sometimes we can fix that through in our teaching. If, for example, because my background is in language, I told them about the Zandra Convention. Zandra Convention means you have to know who you are talking with. Know your audience. That's the theory of language. Knows who your audience is. Then you wouldn't have any problems communicating. If you don't know your audience, how are you going to communicate? Okay. So I'm still struggling, believe me, to deal with them. So yeah, suggestion. We are struggling, okay? But you said you are suffering, working, and especially you mentioned about sandwich generation. That makes things more complicated. But thank you for your interest.
Understanding more is the key.
That's
Our Minister of Enterprise also at times to understand them by having 4 days of working hours. Okay.
From
Yeah,
Zoom.
questions from Zoom.
Oh, they are very.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you have 5 minutes,
Oh,
Dr.
5
Gingin.
minutes.
Yeah,
So,
and you can select the questions.
uh,
Okay, do you want me to read?
yeah, which one? It's up to you. I don't know. Oh, okay.
On the top?
Yeah,
Okay.
educator and policymakers.
How can educators and policymakers balance the need to prepare Gen Z for the workforce with the need to foster critical thinking, creativity, and social responsibility in the curriculum?
Okay. Yeah, that's good. A good question. And if Muhammad Al Haji, thank you for your question. And I have mentioned it in my presentation that we need to indeed, we need to incorporate soft skill. And I have also mentioned what soft skill means. Yeah, soft skill means the skill that needed for you to perform well apart from your hard skill. So soft skills mean critical thinking. Critical thinking, you are not going to, as I mentioned again, you are not going to have critical thinking as 3 or 4 credit. No, but critical thinking will always be embedded in every subject that we are teaching. Okay, critical thinking, communication, that's always embedded. So it's for you to try to achieve that. And I always mention to critical thinking, creativity, social responsibility. I always mention to my students who are doing undergraduate thesis or scriptsy. I always remind them that writing your scriptsy or your thesis is totally not about the scriptsy itself, but it's sharpening your critical thinking. It's sharpening your communication skill. You know, a lot of my students, they get stuck. They complain to me, oh, ma'am, I cannot approach my supervisor because blah, 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 blah. The communication ends. Okay. You don't work hard to communicate. So this is how to balance the need. I think that's what I'm saying in the implication of my research, that we need to incorporate soft skill more to our curriculum. We need to teach them. We need to model them. Yeah, modeling is very important. So it's not all about theory, but demonstrate it with students. Yeah, I think everything
that's
is
repeated questions, I believe.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, wow, very insightful presentations, I believe. And I think that was the last questions, Dr. Agustin. Yeah. Okay, if I can get the gist from your presentation is that, so with all the characteristics of Gen Zs, with the characteristics in the workforce, characteristics in the probably learning, so they all need to be responded for the policymakers to design a curriculum that fits the characteristics for the Gen Zs, because they are the majority, of the workforce in Indonesia. Yeah, anywhere in the world, not only Indonesia. And to advance the golden era of Indonesia 2045, to celebrate 100 years of independence, the Gen Zs are the keys, because they will more they will involve more in the workforce. They're the big dominant. Okay, and what has been done by the government actually has been in the correct path by having the curriculum of MBKM. And it is now the opportunities for the universities as higher education institutions to interpret what is demanded, what is wanted by the government. Okay, I think that will be all for today's lunch talk, the 30th lunch talk. Thank you very much for your presence today. We really appreciate your presence today. I think that's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you on the next 31st lunch talk.